8-7-9.
If Seth Curry is the primary ball handler out on the floor, maybe it frees up Nolan Smith to score some at least early on. But both of those guys will be the primary point guards as the season unfolds.
It'll be Scott Grable and Mason Plumlee. Our officials tonight: Jamie Luckey, Earl Walton, and Tim Comer. And the tip controlled by the Phoenix. Here's Chris Long, who G-Man told you is so important to this team. And he takes a shot. That counts. How about Long taking it right to the rack?
Well, you talk about what he does, and getting into the lane he's very crafty. Going to the left side, just really got Nolan Smith on his hip, and that was a very strong finish in the paint area. Terrific start for Matt Matheny's team.
Chris Long, the senior from Charleston, West Virginia. He's a great free throw shooter. He missed that one. 84% on the year. And Elon coming out with some hustle here early.
And I asked Matt Matheny how his team might react to this environment, and he came out. They didn't shoot around today, which I thought was interesting. And he's got a very young team. He thought they might be a little wide-eyed, but they've gotten right into the action quickly.
If you're unfamiliar with Elon, they are located in Elon, North Carolina, which is near Burlington, as Nolan Smith gets started with a three, and it's really right down the street from Durham.
When Kyrie Irving was here, he was a scorer, and that's maybe where he's most valuable, and they want him to maintain that aggressiveness, and Nolan Smith looking for his shot early. He's become a much more improved three-point shooter.
Terrence Burdett, number 2. This is Spradlin. Steal. Mason Plumlee got a hand on it. And here comes Duke. Boy, Smith wanted Plumlee just out of his reach. Turnover. Head coach for the Elon Phoenix is Matt Matheny in his second season, a disciple of Bob McKillop, where he was an assistant coach at Davidson for 6 years.
And he set the bar very high for this program.
Nice ball movement by Elon. Burdett left it short.
And that's about as good a look as you're going to get. The nice inside-out movement by the Phoenix.
That's a great pass. Nolan Smith to Miles Plumlee.
And it's just very simple basketball right there. The screen roll. Get your big guy a layup.
The three won't go by Duga. Both these teams will take a lot of threes in the game. Here's Curry for 3. Duke takes more threes than anybody else in the ACC. Elon takes more threes than anybody in the SoCon.
And I think that Elon, that's where we're going to look in transition, Mike. That's where they get a lot of their open looks. Similar with the travel. This is a little brush screen in transition, and you see Scott Grable getting caught in between right there. That's just very easy basketball, and that's the hardest place to guard a pick and roll when it's unexpected and in transition, Mike.
That's something that's going to be tough for Elon to stop on. Here's Chris Long. Long has been impressive early.
Good closeout by Plumlee that time.
Burdett lost the handle on it. Turnover. Will give it back to the Blue Devils.
Duke's bigs are going to have to be very active out on the three-point line. Elon's players, their big guys, will not afraid to step out there. Plus, they're going to have to help out on guards as well.
Here's Smith taking it all the way. Got his own rebound. Elon comes up with a good save by Spradlin.
Well, I like that play by Spradlin. Don't make the referee make that decision. If you can save it to your own guy, go ahead and make the play.
Interesting matchup there. Here's Spradlin. With good ball movement. They're getting some good looks, and they hit that one. Roger Duga. It's only his 4th three-pointer of the year.
Well, and he's a pick-and-pop guy, too, and that's what happened that play. Instead of rolling to the rim, he came behind the play and got an open look.
Well, Duke answers down at the other end. Elon hanging tough here early. It's good to have a senior like Chris Long in an atmosphere like this. Burdette took a look at him. Here's Spradlin. Duga, known as a scorer, shot clock's at 1.
Well, he did well just to get the ball up on the rim and avoid the shot clock violation, but there was no rebounding help at all. And they're hanging in. We talk about the pick and pop, and you see Duga just kind of flaring back to the three-point line. It's a long run for the help side defense to cover that up. And we talk about looks in the half court, and they've gotten some pretty good ones against Duke here early on.
Elon 0-3 already in Southern Conference play, but you can see that they're not shy about scoring. Substitutes in for Duke now. Ryan Kelly is in. Dawkins is in, and also in is Josh Hairston.
Kelly has started 7 games, and Dawkins has been a starter, so they've had people, and it's not about starting with this unit. It's about about minutes and getting starter minutes.
For Elon, Jack Eisenbarger, a freshman, is into the lineup, number 20.
Talk about starting minutes. He's their leading scorer, but will play starter minutes.
Averages almost 15 a game. Here is Dawkins. Singler.
Not a lot of field goal attempts for Singler early on.
Tried to get it into Hairston. Good defense on the part of Elon. That's Lucas Troutman, 6'10 freshman. There are 4 freshmen on this Elon team who will see significant minutes. Here's Eisenbarger. We talked about him, Mike, leading scorer, hits his first shot.
Well, if you're Matt Matheny, you couldn't have scripted out a better first 4 minutes for your ball club. Coming up on 5 minutes now. They showed a lot of poise on offense. They've gotten some really good looks and knocked them down.
Good look for Dawkins. Boy, he has been money all year long.
Well, you talked about it. 54% from 3. I mean, that's like shooting 70% from 2.
Long on the drive. He's fouled. How about Elon? They've been impressive. 5 straight wins at home. 2 straight 30-win seasons. It is a tough task for Elon, but Mike, they've been impressive to me here early.
Well, and we talked about the start. Chris Long, I think that initial play, just going right at Nolan Smith, converting the early basket, just give him a little bit of a lift and say, it's 94 feet. 2 baskets. Let's go play.
Great defense by Duke on the inbound play, getting the steal. Smith the bucket at the other end.
A lot of times the teams won't be able to get to that long pass. It's usually a bailout on a baseline out of bounds, but the terrific play, almost like a cornerback in football.
Mike, you talked about Nolan Smith as a scorer. He's got 7 of Duke's 12 points. And another Elon turnover. Things not going well coming out of that timeout. Kyle Singler, that's his first shot of the game. And he is fouled there by Lucas Troutman. Here's our Auto Owners Insurance defensive coverage of the game.
Wow, that was a beautiful play by Dawkins, just kind of sitting back right there. He's really remade his body almost, Mike, becoming much more physical up top and using his strength to make that play. And we talked, when Nolan Smith took over for Irving in that first game, he had no points and 10 assists, but they can't lose his scoring, and they want him to be more aggressive, and he certainly has done that early on.
Yeah, that first game as a point guard, if you will, his scoring went away on him. They're looking at the monitor, I think, to try to determine whether Singler will get 2 or 3 free throws. His foot was on that line or behind it.
Josh Hairston comes into the play, and it's this angle is going to be probably a little. It's tough to tell. That back line is a dark blue line, is a Duke blue line, and it's tough to see whether his toe is on it or not.
Jamie Luckey, our official, looking at the monitor, and they are going to call it an attempted three-pointer. Draws a smile from Matt Matheny.
Did he expect any other result here?
No.
No, referees are going to get it right. And you could see here these last couple of possessions that Kyle Singler a little aggressive looking for his first couple of field goal opportunities.
2 minutes, 30 seconds. 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 2 minutes Kyle Singler's a very good free throw shooter. Now 32 of 38 on the year, 84%. Miles Plumlee coming back in. Sebastian Koch, another one of those freshmen in for the first time for Elon. Look at it here, and that's a tough call.
Yeah, as like I said, Hairston just comes into it and blocks it out a little bit, but it did look like he got his foot behind the line.
Kyle Singler makes all three, and Duke now on an 8-0 run. This is where it gets dangerous for Elon. Eisenbarger stepped on the line over and back. Mike, it seems to me that Duke has really turned up the defensive pressure.
Yeah, they amped it up a little bit, throwing some double teams up near half court, and you can't dribble your way into it. And I don't know that he stepped on the line right there just as he got rid of the ball.
3 straight turnovers for Elon.
Well, next time down, if you're a guard, you're Elon, you want to anticipate that double team coming and make sure you have outlets.
Kelly on the drive, he's fouled. Riley Beaumont, another one of those freshmen. Actually, that foul's going to be charged to Grady. His first, and it'll send Ryan Kelly, who has started 7 games this year, to the line. The 6'11" sophomore from nearby Raleigh.
Does a lot for this team. 3 rebounds a game, second on the team in blocks. He's also a guy, he's gotten a lot bigger since his freshman year, Mike. He really spent a lot of time in the weight room, but always the possessor of a very soft touch, and he's got range out the 3-point line.
He's not been to the free throw line a lot this year. Only his 9th and 10th free throws of the season.
It shows you that he likes to spend a lot of time on the perimeter taking jump shots.
Whistle and a
second foul on Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith has just picked up his second foul, and very quickly Seth Curry is up off the Duke bench.
We talked about it amping up the pressure, and that's a good job. It looked like Eisenbarger was a little bit more prepared for the pressure, just man-to-man that time, was able to draw and go into the body of Nolan Smith and get the call.
This is Eisenbarger with the basketball. Grable, one of the veteran leaders on this team. Boy, that's tough going down there in the paint. Scramble for the loose ball, held ball.
Didn't look like 2 people were able to get control of the ball. That was a long time to let that scrum go on the floor.
Possession arrow to Duke. And the Blue Devils will try to extend this lead into double digits. Wide open Dawkins. Offensive board, Singler. He's fouled on the way up.
Well, Singler a little down in that department, Mike. 5.5 boards as opposed to 7 last year, but he is a very dangerous rebounder, and this is just good anticipation, knowing where the shot's coming from and setting up on the weak side.
Kyle Singler has only taken 1 shot in this game.
But, you know, the scorers and the great players like that have the ability and the knack to let the other guys work into the offense. He's going to be involved in this game. He really doesn't have to hunt his offense early. The ball's going to come to him.
Kyle, a preseason All-American there. You see what a career he's had at Duke.
He'll be the 11th player to score 2,000 points in this program's history.
You know, and a note that really is impressive to me. He's trying to join Art Heyman and Christian Laettner as the only players to score 600 points for 3 straight years.
The thing about Heyman is he did it in fewer games in a year. Heyman was a very, very impressive scorer. His numbers are done in only 3 years and in fewer games.
Singler will go down as one of the all-time greats here. Nice kick out. Burdett, a little strong, and there's Kyle Singler, the rebound. Singler, a deep 3, and he hit it. Oh, my.
That is impressive range, almost unguardable range for anybody. are defensively year in and year out.
Duke's average margin of victory in their 10 wins this year, almost 26 points. It's a 14-0 Duke run right now. The score was 10-8 at one point. Nice pass inside, but Burdett can't hit it.
Got a good look on the back door that time. The overplay on defense, but was just in such a hurry to get the ball up on the rim. Never had a chance.
Here's Singlet. Nice move to get off his shot, left it short.
Playing against Spradlin, he's given away about 3 or 4 inches, so Singler trying to use his size inside.
Nice drive to the bucket by Terrence Burdett, 6'2" junior out of Houston, Georgia, his first bucket.
Yeah, much better control that time. Good poise. He came off a poor layup earlier on and made a nice, strong move to the hoop that time.
Plumlee down low for his brother. Boy, tough to stop Mason, 6'10" inside. His first bucket.
Yeah, those two work really well in that high-low action.
Here's Spradlin off balance. And it is all Duke right now. Deep three for Curry. Look at Singler hustle after that loose ball. Dawkins wide open, got his feet set. Couldn't hit it. Got it, but he traveled. The ACC. On our AT&T ACC scoreboard, one ACC team in action tonight. Virginia on top of Norfolk State first half, and I think if you had to say a surprise team early, it's been the Virginia Cavaliers.
Well, and BC too, both of them getting ACC road wins on early on, and Virginia going into Virginia Tech, very impressive in December, and BC getting a win at Maryland. Steve Donahue doing a nice job there early.
Long, and he's going to be fouled by freshman Tyler Thornton just into the game for Duke. Out of Washington, D.C.
And he's a guy whose minutes are going to expand with Irving's injury, too. Playing a little point guard behind Curry and Nolan Smith. And Nolan Smith with the 2 early fouls, maybe he'll get a few more minutes.
Last game against St. Louis, Thornton didn't score, but he had 4 assists. All the way to the bucket. One of the freshmen for Elon, Lucas Troutman.
Elon doing a nice job of spreading the floor, and because of that, it was a long run for the help side defense.
Here is Thornton. Nice drive to the bucket by the young freshman, and he's fouled to go to the line.
Well, the one thing they like about him is he can really apply good ball pressure defensively. As you can see, he's very solidly built. He's been to the free throw line 2 times this year.
Averaged 3 steals a game in high school. Was the Washington, D.C. area player of the year as a high school senior a year ago. You see Scott Grable, number 33, the senior from Montpelier, Virginia, back into the Elon lineup. Thornton hits them both. Duke's been very good from the free throw line. 7 for 8 here in this first half. Long again, drives, had a good look at it.
Right-handed player, but the second time that he's gone left and gotten all the way in, they've had a couple of layup opportunities that have gone awry. Burdett won earlier.
Well, one thing, this Elon team is battling. Miles Plumlee is whistled for the foul. And one thing over those 31 years, Mike Krzyzewski's had some friendly conversations with officials. On his way to those 879 wins, should he get it here tonight. Good pass inside to Grable, working over Plumlee. That's a strong move in the post.
Well, and the nice thing there, I mean, he's kind of the blue-collar guy. He's hit a good screen up top and then worked his way into the paint area. Pitched with both feet in the paint, good things happen.
And Grable's a guy they really need to get going. He only had 1 field goal in the last 2 games.
You see that work inside. You get that guy on your back, and that's good to go with your offhand, too. Nice work by Scott Grable.
He's had injury problems throughout his career. Missed a year with an ACL. Missed over a month last year. Duke has gone pretty cold from the field, as we see. It's 2 for the last 8. A nice pass. Kelly to Singler. And 1.
We talked about the post position, and one of the things that you learn last is how to feed out of it. Elon is committed to coming in, double-teaming just about everybody. And Ryan Kelly, here you see it coming down from the top, and that's a great basket cut by Kyle Singler. Good look, good finish. Those 3 guys working that triangle very well.
That is the 2nd foul on Scott Grable. Singler completes the 3-point play. He's now 5 for 6 from the free throw line in this game. Singler now in double figures with 10 points.
We were wondering where he was early on in this game, right, Mike?
Yeah. Well, he showed up, didn't he? Beaumont with the bucket for Elon. Nice pass. Dawkins, little too tall for Kyle Singler. Long, Plumlee knocked it away. Again, good defense by Duke.
Or normally you don't think of a big pursuing a point guard from behind and getting the deflection, but that was a terrific play by Miles Plumlee.
One of the impressive things is the bigs for Duke are so athletic, as you see Plumlee taking it to the bucket. That's a held ball and possession to Elon. But you talk about Kelly and Miles and Mason Plumlee, they've all got good athleticism.
The one thing they need to do and replace from last year with Brian Zubek is his ability to offensive rebound and get second chance opportunities. And I think that's an area that they're focusing in on. They need to become a better rebounding team in general, especially on that end.
Mason Plumlee back into the Duke lineup. And again, look at the defense by Kyle Singler. On the break to Kelly. That's all Kyle Singler, and Ryan Kelly able to finish it up.
Well, he did a nice job. Was getting back cut, opened up to the ball, and got a hand on it. Terrific defensive play.
Nothing coming easy for Elon right now. Here's Beaumont works against Singler. Bradley. Again, that Duke defense comes up with it. Here's Smith. The kick out to Curry for 3. Elon comes up with the loose ball. And Curry goes hard to the floor.
Ryan Kelly running the floor. They were not dialed in the first 4 minutes of this game defensively, Mike, but since then it's been a different team.
Go back to your key where you talked about focus. Well, the focus has really picked up. Shot way off by Troutman. Smith saves it. Nolan Smith running the offense for Duke. Here's Singler. And Troutman the rebound. Duke has out-rebounded Elon 15-7, but the Blue Devils have 7 offensive rebounds to only 1 for Elon here in this first half.
Well, and when you consider the fact, too, that they've had 13 misses, that's a very high percentage of retrieving those.
And 1 and done again for Elon as Kelly down with the rebound. Here is Kelly. He'll shoot it from out there, but off the drive.
That's a tough finish going left and having to finish with your right hand.
Here is Long. Again, penetrates in the lane. The kick out. Boy, now Elon's gone ice cold as Roger Duga, a good three-point shooter, can't hit.
Yeah, we thought coming in that they would have to shoot a very high percentage in this game, and they're not bad at 41% on a home court, but just not a lot of shots with all the turnovers.
Mason Plumlee the rebound. I don't think Seth Curry was expecting that pass. Wholesale subs back in for Duke. Miles Plumlee's in. Dawkins, Hairston also back in.
You think about it, with exams and then the Christmas break, Mike, this is the only game they'll play in an 18-game stretch after a very hectic first part of the season. And Mike Krzyzewski talked today about going out and taking advantage of it and blowing it out on this court. It's a privilege to play here, and let's bring a lot of energy while we're here.
And their next game's not till December 29th.
In your neck of the woods.
And Greensboro against UNC Greensboro, who has, I think, joined the ACC in this preseason. Elon's played their share of ACC teams as well, as Burdette can't hit, but a nice follow-up.
Well, he's a very aggressive driver, likes to get into the paint area, and was just quicker off his feet to the miss that time. A good tip in by Burdette.
Here's Singler to Dawkins. Dawkins off balance, off the glass.
Young man went through so much last year with the death of his sister, and he has really come out with a lot of resolve this year. He's going to be a critical part of their success as the season goes along.
His sister Lacey was killed on the way to the St. John's game last year, and a tough year for Andre Dawkins. But what's been impressive is you can tell how much work he put in the offseason, and it has paid off here. Smith on the drive. Oh, Nolan Smith and one.
He is so strong when he gets to that right hand, and when you can get a guy on your hip, a good screen that time gives him just enough room. No help coming in. I love that little floater off the glass.
That is a tough shot to stop.
And they give him that little rub screen up top, and that's just enough room for him and to use his strength and skill in the lane area.
One of 5 players in D1 averaging over 16 points, over 5 assists, and over 4 rebounds. The complete player, Nolan Smith. And at the free throw line, going for his 10th point. Kyle Singler already has 10. You see the free throw story now, 9 for 11 for Duke. And a much needed bucket there for Elon.
Yeah, Jack Eisenberger coming in and the nice pull-up. Well, you would think as many threes as this team takes, Mike, I'm talking about Elon, you wouldn't expect them to get to the line a lot, and they need to hit those threes in this game tonight.
Dawkins on the drive, not able to hit it. Here's Smith. Look at Smith work to find his shot. Nolan Smith now with 11. And again, great defense down at the other end.
Boy, Miles Plumlee running the floor well to get the interception.
Smith. No basket. Offensive foul. And that will be the 3rd foul on Nolan Smith.
And, has not played since. Big toe injury. It's analogous to a turf toe, I would guess.
Tyler Thornton is in the game for Duke.
And they are still uncertain, Mike, as to whether that ends his season or not. I think there's still thought that if the healing process goes well, that it could be a 2-month thing and he might be back by the end of the ACC season.
Well, we certainly hope the best. He is a great player.
Well, and without him now, they are going to have to play very much like they did last year, which had a decent result to it at the end of the year. But
I should say so.
But he was such a dynamic player, it changed the way they were going early on, and now they're just going to have to regroup and reinvent themselves.
The foul was on Andre Dawkins, his first, and Jack Eisenbarger, an 86% free throw shooter, hits them both.
So big minutes here for Tyler Thornton at the point guard. End of the first half, 14-point lead.
Singler. Oh, Miles Plumlee. Nobody blocked him out.
The Plumlee brothers both can play above the rim, and we were talking about offensive rebounding and where that was coming from.
That is our Bass Pro Shops in the net.
Singler's been very aggressive, didn't get the finish, but when you're a great shooter, your misses are nice and soft around the rim, and that was an easy flush for Plumlee.
Mike, at the other end, Chris Long took it right at Tyler Thornton, and Tyler Thornton has just picked up his 2nd foul. So Seth Curry has returned to the Duke lineup. Here's Curry. Curry's not scored here in this first half. Had 11 in the win over St. Louis.
A nice fight back by Matt Matheny's team, Mike. It looked like this game was really getting away from him, and they've kind of clawed back and righted the ship a little bit, gotten some confidence, a couple of good offensive positions.
You know, in the last 10 minutes, neither team has shot the ball well, particularly from three. That's a great pass, and one. Miles Plumlee give the assist to Kyle Singler.
Well, led the team with 33 dunks last year, and you see why. Great elevation in the lane, and Singler again with the beautiful pass.
Miles Plumlee has got a 36-inch vertical leap. That's the best on the team. Boy, he can really get up.
I had that too, but they measured me twice.
Ah. Don't kid yourself, folks.
No ups at all.
What he had, the G-Man had some timing. Swatted those shots right out of there. Offensive foul. It's on Beaumont, his second.
And this is the thing that Elon, we talked about it, they've calmed things down, but so many times this Duke team has been explosive in the last 3 minutes, 2 minutes of a half, and they really have to pay attention here and not let this game get back out of shape.
Here's Singler. With Curry. Curry. That's his first bucket. He was 0 for 3 before making that shot. Here's Long with 2.5 to go now in the first half. Eisenbarger. Oh, he's got a quick release. Miles Plumlee.
It didn't look like he had complete control of the basketball. A little bit of a forced shot that time. Contested.
And Plumlee's playing great at both ends. Singler looking inside for Kelly. Got him. Ryan calling for the basketball. Knew he had a smaller man on him. Took it right to the bucket.
Timeout by Matt Matheny. And a good job. He stepped his man up the lane here. And maybe none more improbable than last year's. And I don't think there were a lot of people picking that team to go all the way. Certainly make a deep run, but not win the national championship.
Mike, at this time of the year last year, you would not have said Duke was going to go win the national championship.
I mean, it was Kansas and Kentucky and a lot of other teams at that point. And even Mike Krzyzewski said that we were a very good team, and he kept amping up the platitudes for his team as the year went along. And finally, after the national championship, said, "Hey, you guys are a truly great team."
You know, and there were many factors, but I think Brian Zubek and coming around in the middle of the season.
Well, it was a great year. All those championship banners have one quality in common. It was great internal leadership. And that was a very underestimated part of last year's ball club.
We'll talk about Jack Eisenbarger, the freshman from Zionsville, Indiana. He's the leading scorer on this team coming off the bench. And he's the leading scorer here in the first half with 9 points for Elon.
Nice job, and they're trying to test Curry a little bit, a little run and jump in the backcourt to try to put some pressure on him, but they handle it nicely.
Plumlee trying to show a little range. Rebound to Sebastian Koch out of Germany. Oh, this good-looking freshman for Elon. Nice pass. But again, it is one and done for Elon. They are not getting any second shots. Curry has it blocked by Lucas Troutman. Eisenbarger is going to be fouled by Curry. First foul on Seth Curry.
Troutman's come in, a couple of rebounds, a couple of points. Nice weak side help. Been pretty active coming off the bench.
As we talked about at the beginning of our broadcast. So well over 3.5 minutes. Eisenbarger, what a free throw shooter.
It's been said of a lot of teams that they tire you out offensively, and I think throughout the years that Mike Krzyzewski's teams have tired you out defensively, making you work for everything, especially in the half court.
Jack Eisenbarger now 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Both of his parents played basketball at Indiana. Here's Curry. Contested three, but he hit it.
Scary how much his jump shooting form looks exactly like his dad, Dell.
Will you and Dell spend a little time together in the
we were teammates. Incredible shot. That's why it was for Stephen and now for Seth to watch them. I was around them when they were kids coming to shoot around, and it's like a carbon copy of Dad in the stroke.
You get the feeling that before this year's over, Seth Curry's going to have a game where he just explodes. Shot clock's under 10. Singler, great move, great drive to the bucket. My goodness, what a great shot by Kyle Singler. And that's the end of the first half. This is the most points Duke has scored in a first half all year long. They put 49 on the board. Here at the break, they lead the Elon Phoenix 49. The captains have really led Duke, but Nolan Smith's got 3 fouls.
And starting the second half, too. Now, you would think as a senior, Mike Krzyzewski has confidence that he can play with those fouls. But I think this is the end that he's got to be careful with the offensive end and not taking the ball in and getting a charge.
Here's Singler. Duke with the first possession here of the second half. Plumlee. Oh, nice catch by Curry. Here's Miles Plumlee on the reverse, has it blocked.
Scott Grable coming in from the weak side. Good help.
Here's Spradlin. He was mostly silent in the first half.
And those are the fouls that Mason Plumlee or Miles Plumlee has a habit of getting into. Things way out on the floor, an unnecessary foul. You got to clean that part of his game up a little bit.
Second foul of the game on Miles Plumlee. Chris Long had 7 points in the first half. Elon led by Jack Eisenbarger. He had 11. And there's the 3 from Drew Spradlin. Got 6. Spradlin had 4 threes in a game 8 days ago against Lynchburg, and Elon win. Singler at the other end. Down with it is Roger Dugan. Long, off-balance shot. Curry down with it.
You know, I love the fact with Seth Curry that he's a scorer and he's a great shooter. And then not many times do you see guys like that make great decisions with the basketball. His assist-to-turnover ratio is very solid.
Plumlee can't hit, and Elon's down with it again. Burdett. Duga, good shooter.
Tell you, we talked about it. He's a pick and pop guy, and that's a perfect example right there. And when you can do that, it's a long run for the help side defense.
5 points in the game for Roger Duga. Whistle and an Elon foul.
See the he draws it instead of going to the rim. He comes behind the play where the void is. This play. There were a couple times in this game where we thought that it might get away from the Phoenix, and they've showed up. They really came out here to start the second half well.
Battles underneath, and Elon winning the battle of the loose balls right now. And that foul's on Nolan Smith. That is his 4th. Nolan Smith just whistled for foul number 4. And Andre Dawkins very quickly into the Duke lineup.
And he's Nolan Smith not happy about it, but we talked about it, having to be careful on the offensive end. You have to know your foul situation, and you have to know the balls that you can go after and come up with reasonably.
Here's Long as Elon has started strong here in this second half. Burdette driving past Singler.
So you hear that whistle, and you've got to get the ball up on the rim. He could have gotten 2 free throws out of it.
Only the first foul on Kyle Singler.
There's the look. You can hear the whistle.
They let some general admission folks in, and some folks have come from a long way away just to spend one night as a Cameron Crazy.
The crazy understudies.
Exactly. Freshman Troutman into the game. Turnover. Curry comes up with it.
You know, a lot of times you go to a building, Mike, when the students are on break and there's not the same energy there, but I think that these crazies instead are doing a nice job bringing some energy.
Curry open for 3. Second 3 of the game for Seth Curry.
You know, it doesn't need a lot of time to get that shot off and can really spread you. Has great range on that 3.
Duke had missed its first 4 shots here in the second half before Curry made that bucket.
To go along with 3 fouls, too. That's why Mike Krzyzewski called that timeout.
And another quick foul on Singler. There is Seth Curry. Got the start here tonight.
Yeah, you can see a little zone defense, and he's a guy who can break his zone and get you out of it quickly. He found the seam. Good play by Ryan Kelly to know where his man was.
Seth Curry transferred from Liberty. One of only 3 players to ever transfer to Duke under Mike Krzyzewski. Oh, they're really interesting.
Yeah, Dante Jones and Rashawn McLeod, the other 2. Thought you had me on that one.
I did.
I mean,
Mike, you're just too into the ACC. You got it, man. You got it.
Sorry to ruin your research there, but
here's Scott Grable, the senior, back into the Elon lineup. Curry in that year at Liberty averaged over 20 points a game. The 3 won't go. And a rare offensive rebound for Elon. Here's Eisenbarger. Led the team in the first half with 11. And Drew Spradlin starting to heat up.
Yeah, that was a good drive and pitch. He knew he was going to have the guys spread out on the weak side along the baseline. That was a well-designed play by the Phoenix.
Spradlin now with 6 points, 2 threes. Here's Kelly. He'll take that 3. Kyle Singler crashing in. If that foul's on him, that is his 3rd.
You're going to see the good baseline. You see Singler come over and a good find that time. Good spot up. Matt Matheny has to be happy with that result.
Terrence Burdette actually whistled for the foul from Elon, his 3rd. It's been a while since Duke has lost to a Southern Conference opponent. Duke used to actually be in the Southern Conference until the ACC was formed in the 50s. Zach Eisenbarger's just picked up his first foul. As we said earlier, these teams played regularly starting in 1911 until 1936. Then the series has ended for a while.
You have to bring out those retro Trinity College jerseys.
Kyle Singler for 3. Second 3 of the game. He's got 15.
He started out his first 2 years as a power forward, Mike.
Offensive foul called. Good defense. Eisenbarger called for it.
We're talking about Singler in his first 2 years as a power forward, but last year switched outside, was a small forward, really increased his range. Such a versatile player, and it's reflected in his career numbers in every category.
Kyle's been in double figures in all but 1 game this season. Foul down low. It's going to be on Duke's Kelly.
Taking over that job. They hope that he restores college basketball to New York City. It's been down for a long time.
Certainly a coach with a lot of energy. Here's Spradlin, who's hit a couple of threes. Nice pass. They go backdoor to Eisenbarger.
They like him coming off the bench. We talked about it. He will play starter minutes in this game, but he has given this team a nice spark. Really live legs. Good backdoor cut that time.
Eisenbarger with 13 points, leading Elon. Dawkins, Seth Curry running things. Nolan Smith again with 4 fouls on the bench. Shot clock at 6. Kelly, what a strong move to the bucket.
Well, we talked about it. He's a perimeter player when he came here, but that was a very solid up and under low box move.
His season high is 9 against Colgate. He's already got 8 here. Eisenbarger. Jack Eisenbarger. Well, he's going to make some noise in the Southern Conference this year.
When you have pressure defense, so you're going to get some backdoor opportunities. And that's the good curl right there off the screen. A quick release. Dawkins just trailing behind him.
Bruce Bradlin's whistled for the foul. It's his first. Eisenbarger has scored over 20 4 times already this season. Here's Singler in traffic, and he's fouled. Kyle Singler will go to the line. Both teams have shot well from the line so far tonight. Duke 9 for 12. Elon 8 for 9.
And this, I don't know that going into this game, if there were people who were watching who thought that Elon at the 14:38 mark would only be 14 points down, now 15. They've battled and hung in there. Matt Matheny's had his guys ready to play. They came in, they weren't intimidated by the environment.
Well, Matt Matheny says he's building a program, and he says games like this are really good for his team, getting them some recognition.
Mike, and it's still also, you can tell they've made a commitment there at the university. But they've upgraded their facilities recently, and he told me beforehand they're committed to him and allowing him the time to build, and that's the key part of it.
That foul's going to be on Kelly. That'll be his third. Yeah, they've got all chair back seats now in the arena on campus at Elon. Great place to watch a basketball game.
The thing that shocked me is that they've increased their student population from 2,000 to 5,000. So he's out there banging the drum. He said there's a lot of Elon stickers around Burlington now, and he's building up his fan base.
Also have a new law school as they've been installed at Elon. Grable not going to shoot it out there. Grable traveled. He knew Kyle Singler was right behind him. 15th turnover of the game for Elon. They only averaged 13 a contest. Saw Koch coming into the game. Bruce Bradlin will take a seat on the Elon bench. Indeed, the Phoenix have given a good account of themselves here tonight. Giving the post to Singler and the young freshman from Germany, Sebastian Koch, called for the foulers first. Terrence Burdett back into the game.
I talked about the career numbers, Mike. You look at Singler, over 1,900 points, 800 rebounds, 300 of those offensive, 200 three-point made, 200 assists, 100 blocks, and 100 steals.
And he has been money from the line tonight. He's 8 for 9 from the free throw line. 18 points now for Kyle Singler, 7 rebounds. Got a chance to go home to Oregon earlier in the season, hit 30 in that game.
And that's Mike Krzyzewski through as his players come through. They always try to give each guy a hometown game. And that's a long trip to make. They did a lot of traveling in November and December. Played a very high caliber non-conference schedule.
Nice shot by Chris Long. That's his first bucket here in the second half. Senior from Charleston, West Virginia. Boy, Singler and Terrence Burdett going at it. Singler 6'8", Burdett 6'2". 4 fouls down for that.
Well, with Singler at the 3, that's a big front line that they can throw out there with Kelly and Miles Plumlee.
Our AT&T around the ACC, how about that game?
Norfolk State, Virginia.
Cavaliers having a tough time. And Singler back to the free throw line. 9 for 10. Tapping it back out to Curry. Here's Long. Good pass. And Kelly with the block.
Well, I don't know that Beaumont was expecting it, but that was one that you maybe want to pull the trigger on the 3. He had good offensive rebounding position.
Dawkins. Andre Dawkins for 2.
It's amazing how much more confident he looks. He had a good start to last year, but then with all the emotional things that he went through off the court in the ACC season, his time diminished, but he looks much more confident out there this year.
Did not have a three-pointer in the last game against St. Louis. Has one here tonight, and I think it's going to open things up for him, the fact that he can now score off the dribble. Good pass inside.
Well, every person who is trying to guard Kyle Singler is undersized, and he's done a nice job of identifying that and working in the paint.
Matt Matheny's going to take a timeout. Points in Duke history for a first-time starter. Tyler Thornton into the game now for Duke. Duga showing some range, the 6'8" sophomore out of Georgeville, Canada. Duke's been playing well offensively of late. They scored on 7 of the last 9 trips. Make it out of 8 of 10. As Kyle Singler is now unstoppable. Long, Duga. Dawkins chases down the loose ball. Lead now up to 20. Whistle and a foul. It's going to be on.
Feed from Ryan Kelly. Showed in great range in this game. What a boost. There were a lot of people that didn't know if he was going to come back for his senior season, but to have the most outstanding player in the Final Four last year to come back as a senior, what a boost for this program.
Had a great ACC tournament, then went on to March Madness. And he's had a great game here tonight. Shot clock under 10. The freshman can't hit it. Lucas Troutman with the miss, and here comes Duke again.
Well, valuable minutes for Thornton out there at point guard. We talked about it with Nolan Smith in foul trouble. Good time for him to get a hold of this ball club and show that he can run an offense.
Plumlee. Not sure that's his shot.
Now 0 of 2 on the season. I don't know that that'll be in the playbook for him.
Inside to Troutman again. Miles Plumlee. It's something to do with that miss. And Tyler Thornton leads this Blue Devil team. Mason Plumlee, double teamed. Somebody had to be open. It's Dawkins. On the drive, Andre Dawkins is fouled. We've seen Andre Dawkins take that ball to the hole a lot more tonight.
Well, and I think as you maybe see the season unfolding, Mike, the teams will start jamming him. And that was a good swing of the basketball, and he had a decent look. But I think at all costs that you want to make him at least a long two-point shooter, if not a driver. Guy who's hitting 54% from 3, you don't want him getting open looks.
Duke has had a good night at the free throw line as a team, 13 for 17. Dawkins not happy leaving that one short. Kelly is back in for Mason Plumlee. Andre Dawkins been in double figures 8 times this year. It's 1 of 2 there. He's got 8 points here tonight. Largest lead of the game for Duke now at 69-48. 10 minutes to go. Deep three, and he hit it, Chris Long.
This is a team you can't go underneath screens, and Long just really did a nice job of lulling the defense to sleep that time. A kind of lazy dribble, and then he rose up for a three.
Singler makes a nice move to get past Long. Duke down with the rebound.
I get the sense that the intensity defensively has dropped a little bit for Duke here in this stretch.
Another three, that one won't go. Good offensive rebound. One of the few offensive rebounds and putbacks tonight. That's Lucas Troutman, the freshman.
Well, and credit Sebastian Koch. He really kept the ball alive initially, and that allowed Troutman to go after it and get it.
Troutman played at the Christ School in Raleigh, same team that the Plumleys played on. Here's Kelly. I think that ball was touched up on the rim.
Here's the jump hook inside, and yeah, there's the help. Can't do that, can't use any of the equipment to pull yourself up. He should have been shocked by that call.
And with 4 personal fouls, there's Nolan Smith back in the Duke lineup. Duga over Kelly, and Kelly fouled him. That's going to be the 4th foul on Ryan Kelly, and it's going to send Roger Duga to the free throw line for 3.
Here's the play, and we talked about their bigs being able to extend the floor. You want to contest that jump shot, but not send the guy to the free throw line. Duga has not been there very much this year, 3 of 8 coming in. But still, fundamentally, you don't want to make that play.
Only had 4 points in the loss on Friday night to Chattanooga. He had a great game against Gardner-Webb, did Roger Duga. 21 points and 10 rebounds. So he is capable of big nights for this Elon team. Dawkins is in, and with the 4 fouls, Kelly will go to the bench. Elon's been incredible from the free throw line tonight. They are 11 of 12 from the stripe. And how about Elon on an 8-0 run now over the last minute?
Every time you think it's going to go from 20 to 30, Mike, it goes from 20 to 10 or 20 to 12.
Smith. Nolan Smith spent a lot of time on the bench, right to the bucket.
And good going to his left hand, too. Identifying that shows he can score going either way. That is a tough dribble drive to defend when you can go both hands.
Here's the freshman Koch. What a nice shot by Sebastian Koch.
And Mike Krzyzewski's not going to be happy with that. He dribbled from about 30 feet away and got all the way to the rim.
Freshman from Munich, Germany. And it's his first points tonight. Nolan Smith again, straight to the bucket. I think Nolan had seen enough sitting over there on the bench and said, okay, put me in, I'm going to take it to the bucket. Smith now 7 for 9 from the field. Spradlin, good ball movement. They get the open look. And they get it to go. Troutman. 13-point game. Duke's largest lead has been 21.
Difficult thing to do in this building.
At the line, Nolan Smith. 15 points in 14 minutes. Smith is playing with 4 fouls. Now, Elon, you mentioned that Duke's defensive intensity has not been what it was. They have scored, Mike, on 5 straight possessions.
Well, if this is the team that comes out and plays in the Southern Conference, I realize they're 0-3 right now. They're going to be a tough out.
Spradlin left that short. Miles Plumlee down with it. Matt Matheny says he feels pretty good still about what they can do in the SoCon this year. It's a tough league. Dawkins left it short. Chris Long down with it. Singler, 6'8" on the 6'2" Long. And a foul on Kyle is his third.
Good footwork right at the end, kind of reaching, got tripped up a little bit, and that's what happened. It was his own guy. He tripped over Miles Plumlee, lost his balance, and went into Long.
And we've seen Kyle Singler in the past guard smaller players and do it effectively. And that'll send Chris Long, senior leader on this team, fourth all-time in assists for the Phoenix. It's a free throw. And again, Elon, money from the line, 11 for 12 as a team. Now 13 for 14 as we update that number, but they've only missed one all night long. It was Long who missed that one. Duke turnover.
Nice read by Spradlin that time to get back in and cut off the passing lane.
Good pass. But again, one and done for Elon. Offensive rebounds have been tough to come by. Dawkins off balance, hits the three. He'll go to the line for a possible 4-point play.
Well, just a killer play for Elon. They missed the score down at the other end, and out in transition, you talked about Dawkins not taking many threes. That was a good look ahead by Nolan Smith, and the last thing you want to do, foul. And we talked about fouling three-point shooters.
Andre Dawkins, second three of the game, puts him in double figures now with 11 points.
He's definitely a guy like, on the break, you have to fill out defensively to him out on the perimeter. He's going to run to that three-point line.
I like what you said earlier. There's a look of confidence about him that you did not see at times last season.
Well, I think that comes from strength and conditioning, and clearly he's worked on both of those.
Good defensive play by Curry. Long is going to be whistled for the foul, and that will be his fourth. I think we see out of Seth Curry that he is more than just a shooter.
Can make plays. Now we'll be counted on it with the injury to Kyrie Irving.
Seth Curry, an excellent free throw shooter at 86% on the year. AT&T scoreboard.
Wow, Virginia squeaking out a win.
Now, it doesn't matter by how many, it counts as a W.
Yeah, that left-hand column, and Tony Bennett, his teams are not going to break many scoreboards this year, but they're going to get some wins.
And Seth Curry becomes the fourth Blue Devil in double figures tonight. He's got 10. Eisenbarger. Koch, the freshman. Here comes Nolan Smith and the Blue Devils. Nolan Smith in foul trouble much of the game, but 8 for 10 from the field.
Yeah, he and Singler have been the biggest part of the offense, and Dawkins in double figures.
And Matt, largest lead of the game at 83-62. Eisenbarger has been mostly silent here in the second half for Elon. Nice pass inside to Troutman. He's got 8 points.
Yeah, nice lift off the bench for him, and just Plumlee trying to go for the overcommit and the steal right there. When you miss that, it results in a dunk.
Dawkins down low to Plumlee. And Troutman again makes a pretty good play. There's some good young talent on this Elon team.
Here's the look, and that's nice. Plumlee's just a little bit low on the lob, but a good recovery by Troutman. He deflects it.
Curry, and again Troutman making a play. See who it'll belong to.
Yeah, Elon comes up with it. Troutman knocks it off a Duke player. Terrific hustle plays the last couple of times. Good deflection, getting in front of Plumlee, and then the dive goes off of Seth Curry's leg. Good call.
Elon's got a interesting schedule coming up. We talked about Duke. They've got another game before Christmas as Eisenbarger fouled to go to the line for 2. Seth Curry picks up his second. Elon's going to be at Navy on Wednesday. Then they're off until the 2nd of January at Columbia. Then they play NC State on the 5th in Greensboro. They have played so far this year, Elon, Wake Forest, Maryland, Duke tonight, and then they will play NC State. 4 ACC teams.
I think UNCG is 6 or 7. They may be the 13th team in the ACC tournament.
Well, of course, it's a big rival with Elon. The two schools about 30 miles apart. Eisenbarger 8 for 8 from the line. 17 points to lead Elon. He came in the game as their leading scorer. Singler for 3. Spradlin's down to as we head towards the 4-minute mark. Spradlin off balance. Nolan Smith now. Knocked out of bounds by Eisenbarger. Be a timeout on the floor. 3:15
points, very efficient. 8 of 10, 5 rebounds. Only 18 minutes played, but 19 points.
That's pretty efficient. Here's Seth Curry for Duke. The Singler, who's had a great game offensively. Kelly can't hit outside. Dawkins misses on the tip. He's fouled. Riley Beaumont's picked up his 3rd foul.
Nice kick out by Singler at that time. As a post player, you have to recognize where the double team's coming from, and a good swing of the basketball gets Dawkins 2 free throws.
Dawkins already 12 points tonight. Andre Dawkins, the leading scorer off the bench last year for this team, and leading scorer off the bench here tonight.
Well, they're going to need him, I think, going forward, Mike, to be a double-figure scorer consistently, especially without Irving's points. Talk about all that he did to manufacture things in this offense, but he averaged 17 points a game. That's a lot to make up for.
Eisenbarger being hounded by Curry. Duke averaging 88 points a game. They're 3 away from it. Troutman can't hit. It'll belong to Duke out of bounds. Duke's offense has been phenomenal in the first 10 games of the season, and again here tonight. They're the top scoring team in the ACC and have been in the top 5 in the country all year long. Smith, kick out to Dawkins for 3. Put 88 on the board.
Yeah, and you can see just Curry and Dawkins finding their spot out behind the arc, and a turnover for Elon. Here's the look, and this is Nolan Smith just collapsing the defense and getting his guy a good look at the three.
Well, after missing his first couple of threes, Andre Dawkins now 3 for 6 from behind the arc. Smith is open. Icing on the cake from Nolan Smith. He's got 22 points. Smith's season high 24 against Butler. And Duke is going to get 879 tonight.
Here's the look. This team is so unselfish. The extra pass right there. The good look at the three, catching it, shooting in rhythm. It's an easy game when the ball changes sides of the court.
Miami of Ohio is the only game they did not score 80 points. Still won that one by a healthy margin. Ryan Kelly. It's contagious.
Still a lot of firepower. Amazing they can absorb, at least early on, the injury to Irving and still roll along with their scoring. A lot of firepower out on the floor.
You know, Mike, the end result of this game is going to look really lopsided, and everybody's going to say, oh, that's what we expected in this game. But those that were here and those that watched it know that this is an Elon team that for a good part of this game, they're
I'd like to take a minute, Mike, to say hello to Debbie Krzyzewski-Savarino, Mike's oldest brother, who's been ill lately and on the road to recovery. I know she's watching, and just wanted to tell her and her family and husband Peter and all their kids we're thinking about her and wish her all the best.
I'll second that. Tyler Thornton to the line. He was 2 for 2 tonight. All right, the friendly rim. Had only shot 2 free throws all season before tonight's game. And Thornton 4 for 4 from the line tonight. Eisenbarger hits. Well, Mike, this is our last broadcast here before Christmas. I'll wish you a happy holidays and tell you that I cannot wait till January. Let's get this ACC season started.
I got a nice little break here, Mike, and then come back to Cameron for Miami, who I think is a team that's flying under the radar a little bit right now. It's a nice combination in the backcourt, good size up front. Should be a nice test for Duke.
Chris Long has just fouled out of the game. Senior gave a good account of himself tonight. Long finishes with 14 points, 5 assists. And he really got things going for Elon when he took it right to the bucket on the first play of the game.
You talk about, coming into this game, maybe outman on talent and a little physically, but you got to show signs that you're not afraid to play in the environment. And he really set the tone for his team.
Hairston, and the applause you hear is for Kyle Singler. 24 points tonight, 9 for 11 from the line. Brett Irvin in the game for the first time, along with Daniel Watts for Elon, as we approach a minute to play. Eisenbarger over Kelly. Eisenbarger's had a nice night. 21 points. Under a minute. Mike Krzyzewski will tie Dean Smith tonight as the all-time winningest coach in the ACC. The chance to break that and will come on December 29th, but a great night for Mike Krzyzewski, and as you said, he's had all kinds of accolades. He's got that HOF Hall of Fame after his name, and our Geico play of the game, Mike Krzyzewski.
And I really believe Mike, that Mike Krzyzewski drove Dean Smith to stay in the game longer and to succeed longer. As competitive as he was when he came in, or all the success that they had in the late 80s and early 90s, I think that re-stoked the fire for Coach Smith.
You know, you also have to give Duke some credit. They were very patient. I mean, there were 2 losing seasons in those early years. Casey Peters.
And there was a lot of the fan base and the Iron Dukes that weren't very patient at that point too. And Tom Butters stuck with his coach, obviously making the right decision. Amazing the little twists and turns that take place in one's career. What an amazing job he's done here. Not finished yet.
Final seconds ticking away.